Hi, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of the Tiny Brains podcast. I'm Kevin Joyce, CEO at Tiny Brains, and with me I have Peter Graham, the Brigadier of Brains. Say hello, Peter.
Hello.
So, for those of you who are new to this podcast, what we do is each week we take a look at the top stories from the previous week in XR, and today we're going to dive straight in with some pretty sad news.
It is very sad news, and the biggest news of last week is the fact that Ready at Dawn, the VR developers behind Lone Echo and Echo VR, are closing, aren't they? Meta, who purchased them, are closing the studio.
The Ready at Dawn has quite a bit of pedigree. Before diving solely into VR, they did develop the God of War games for the PlayStation Portable, which were actually quite respectable, considering the handheld was clearly lower power than its console brethren. And they also did the Order 1666, something 66, 1066, something 16. I can't remember the Order something 66, which was yeah okay. Um, but yeah, they did do some behemoths in VR and actually gave me one of my most immersive moments in VR in the early days. The moment of presence, the things that VR experiences are trying to achieve. They were they were unique. They were good at what they did. So pour one out for Ready at Dawn. You will be missed. Hopefully there will be people at the studio that go on to do new things in the scene.
Yes, I imagine the rumor is that they've been offered places elsewhere in Meta, Oculus Studios, but how many will get that or will have to move on to other VR studios is unknown. But there's a lot of talent there anyway.
So if you're in the market for hiring, get those posts out on LinkedIn and get yourself some good ones.
Mhm.
Moving on, we have Pico, who uh, are confusing at the moment, to be frank.
Yes, so Pico essentially have done like a HTC Vive. They've teased a silhouette of a new headset. So they're going to be revealing it later this month on the 20th of August, so just before Gamescom. And it's going to be a mixed reality headset from the company. So
Now, this is Pico, who have said they're no longer doing consumer products, coming and targeting their marketing towards the consumer audience. I mean, what's going on, Pico?
yeah, exactly. So people are wondering whether this is going to be the rumored Pico 4S or whether this could be the even more rumored Pico 5 or Pico Pro 5 Pro Max, which is again rumored to be coming out in the next year or so. But again, these are take all of these with a massive pinch of salt.
I mean, frankly, at the moment, if it's an enterprise headset, I will be surprised because all of their teasing for it has been geared towards the consumer audience. But they said the company outrightly said they weren't interested in the consumer market anymore.
Yeah,
So
they're going against Apple. Well, they want to go against Apple, don't they? And the Vision Pro, which would make sense if it's a mixed reality product, but seems quite quick the timeline between sort of when they said they were going to ditch consumer and go against Apple and revealing a new product. But we'll find out next week
yeah.
or week after.
Um, Sticking with the hardware news, PlayStation VR 2. Now, we covered the PlayStation VR 2 last week in the fact that it had had a huge discount, and sales had seen a significant spike because of that, unsurprisingly. And now the link box is available, so you can connect up a PSVR 2 to your PC. Once again, I'm going to say this every time we talk about this on this podcast. The link
No,
box, which I very accurately predicted the price for exactly.
you
Thank you very much. I
you
wear my
you
trade
blurted out 50 quid and it just happened to be 50 quid.
perfection, perfection in my assessment of the market there. But now we have a virtual link update.
Well, it's not so much a virtual link update as it is what they found to be a PSVR 2 will work with the old virtual link system. Now, if you're new to VR, you probably haven't heard of virtual link because it was essentially abandoned in about 2020. But what this was at the time Oculus, Valve, Microsoft, Nvidia, AMD, all these huge tech companies all banded together and went, right, we're going to make VR really simple for PC users. Just going to be one USB-C cable straight into the back of your GPU. Jobs are good, and no external power or anything else like that. It was nice and simple, wasn't it, Kev? And yeah, the idea was great, and AMD put it into their graphics cards, Nvidia put it into theirs, but essentially only one series. Like Nvidia, it was only on the what's it, the RTX 20 series they put it in. So if you've got an RTX 2080, for example, you've probably got a VirtualLink. If you don't, then well, you don't really. But it means that you could take your PlayStation VR2, plug it into the back of your RTX 20 series, and without having to pay the extra, as Kev so positively says all the time, hit your the 50 quid adapter, so you don't need to buy a 50 quid adapter. Instead, you can save yourself some money. How many people still have these graphics cards is another matter though.
So I still think that the PSVR 2 is a very nice mid-tier headset. And I think it'd make a very nice PC VR headset. So getting that massive discount on PSVR 2 and saving the 50 quid on the box to plug it into your PC, jobs are good, right? Let's get on this. Let's save the PSVR 2. Somebody needs to. Okay, once again, sticking with hardware news, the Valve hand tracking. This is an update. This is an actual update, right? Update.
Well, this is it was seen in the beta release. So Valve released the notes for the Steam VR 2.8.1 beta update, which is incoming. And in it was hand tracking for Quest to support hand tracking on the headset. The actual notes have been updated to remove this, but it is now expected that they are working on it and it's just not ready yet. So it means that a lot of people who are using Quest 2, Quest 3, which there are a significant portion, if you look at the Steam survey results, primarily most PC VR users are on a Quest. It will mean that you can use hand tracking, which will be a huge boon.
Yeah, as you rightly said, Pete, the audience with PC VR, as of most of VR, is Quest based. So yeah, getting these technologies to run across all devices is going to be helpful for everybody. Not for hardware sales or anything like that, but just for the existing audience.
Yeah, exactly. That's because yes, there's still a reasonable number of people using Valve Index on Steam, as the surveys will generally show each month, but that number is dropping, and there's no indication that Valve is going to be releasing any new VR headsets anytime soon. And the Index is now what, 5 years old? 2019, I think it was released.
Still a great headset though.
It is still a great headset, and it's a super comfy headset. I always thought it was one of the comfiest that you could get, but it is starting to show its age a bit now, especially with its LCD displays. So, you know, having more updates to cater to Quest, yeah, should be good.
So to wrap up this week, as we often do, we have a bit of gaming news, and this is one I believe that Pete has chosen just to make me itch all day long.
Well, no, in actual, I have chosen it because of your love of spiders, but in actual fact, this update is geared towards people like yourself, Kev,
It
because
doesn't work.
Dungeons of Eternity have released an arachnophobia mode, and this is essentially taking out the spiders in the RPG and swapping them for lovable, friendly-looking creatures instead. So no more, yay, no more spiders, and yay, I don't know, fluffy dogs or something.
So Grounded, the Xbox game that is now also available for PlayStation, and I believe it's on Switch as well. This was the first game that I'm aware of to have done something like this, and they had an arachnophobia mode, which took all the spiders out of the game. Great, but it replaced them with red floating balls, with detached red floating balls to represent each of the legs, which was more freaky, in my opinion, because my brain was saying this is a spider, and it's a spider that you've never seen before. It's weird, and I didn't like it. Didn't like it. So,
Really
but
isn't.
oddly, I'm okay with the spiders in Skyrim. So I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But yes, so your arachnophobia modes for people who have arachnophobia, my arachnophobia is quite intense. And for people who do have it, I'm not sure, you're on the right page. But,
Well, in addition, I thought I'd just add a little extra to that. Is that while the arachnophobia mode, if you switch it on, will take out the spiders. If you leave it off, you'll be introduced to some new spiders, some kamikaze exploding spiders. So they'll run at you and explode, which is even better.
so back in our days as journalists, this would definitely be a game I would give Pete to review. Because I'm not having spiders sprint at me in VR in any way, shape, or form.
You know, I do love a spider. If you're on a dungeon, if you're playing a dungeon crawl, you've got to have a spider, or two, or five, or 10.
No, I'm good. I'm good. Okay, well, thank you for joining us, everybody. It's great to see we are getting those numbers going through the roof here at the Tiny Brains podcast, humble beginnings and all that, and we're growing, so we love it. Please do feel free to share and also to reach out to either myself or Pete to discuss any of these matters. Anything about VR at all or XR in general, we love to hear from people with new ideas and interesting opinions, and feel free to disagree with us. If you love spiders, let me know. Thank you very much, and we'll see you again next week.